Hi, Shamara. How are you today? Can you hear all right?
Yeah, hello.
Hi, good. There we go. All righty. So, how's it going? Are you having a good week so far? We're off to a good start?
I can't complain. That was a very nice long weekend.
Oh, good. Right, because the holiday yesterday. That's great. That's awesome. Good. Well, then, today as we're diving in, do you have any particular things that you would like to focus on? Any thoughts about our last session and where you'd like to go from there?
Well, last session I struggled.
Okay.
But and I did not practice just because
That's okay.
I've been bad. I'm so bad. I'm so bad. I'm lucky that I even made it today. So,
Oh,
yeah, I'm
I'm glad
sorry.
you're here.
I'm I'm glad to be here too. This is fun. I know that I need to practice and I do apologize.
Oh, it's all right. That's all right. We're going to practice right now. So, thinking back, what were maybe some things that stood out to you as maybe things that you felt like were working well? Maybe some things that you thought you could continue to work on and improving on?
I know that I need to improve on kind of going from narration to character voice.
Yeah,
That was probably the most difficult. Um, and then just to keep practicing, like kind of making mental notes of exactly how I want the piece to flow
Mhm.
so that it's dynamic from the beginning to the end, and like you
Yeah.
emphasizing um how you kind of want to change it up throughout the piece to keep it interesting, that kind of a thing. So
Got it. Awesome. Yes, I agree. I think that switching between narrator to character voices, that's one of the hardest things. Being able to quickly just switch back and forth like that is really challenging. And then you mentioned the flow, the dynamics, keeping it engaging. Sometimes it's especially challenging with a longer script like that. When we have a short project, like a commercial or maybe a character that has a handful of lines in a video game, that kind of thing, that's a lot easier because we just say, okay, how do I make this small script really engaging? But when you have a very long script, that makes things a lot more challenging. For narration, I try to stick with thinking about those general good rules of thumb, but then the character voices are a little bit trickier. They take a little bit more focus and effort. The narration, you can't be too perfectionistic because let's say you have a 12-hour long book that you're narrating. That will take you a lot of time. So we have to let ourselves off the hook a little bit. But obviously, we still want it to be engaging and interesting, but we can't finesse it quite as much as we do with, let's say, a character that has maybe 15 minutes total of talking in a cartoon episode or in a commercial that lasts 60 seconds max, right? So we can be a little bit more focused on the specificity there. With narration, it's a little bit more general rules of thumb. And then if I notice that a certain section needs a little bit more TLC, then I'll spend a little bit of extra time there. So, character voices, I do definitely try to create those a bit more, but the narration, I tend to make it sound a little bit more natural, a little bit more like me, but then with those good rules of thumb so that it still comes across well. And then if I do go through a section and I go, oh, I really wish I'd done it that way. Maybe I go back and redo it, but I try to go, was it like 85%, 80% where I would want it to be? And if the answer is yes, then I just let it be because it takes a lot of time. So getting those good rules of thumb under your belt. So things like you were talking about the flow. So, thinking about the phrase shapes, the flow, thinking about this is one connected thought. So, a really easy way to think of that is just watching the punctuation, observing the punctuation, and inserting those pauses. The dynamics, that's going to be, the louds, the softs, how intense is this moment, that kind of a thing. So, the highs and the lows, is it a more melancholy moment? Is it a really exhilarating moment of the book? Those kind of things. So, thinking about those types of things. So, things like the highs and lows and pitches, the things like how fast or slow you go in that moment, those kind of elements, the accents that make it really exciting and expressive. So, why don't we take a look then? Because those I feel like are good, just general narration practices anyway. So, let's start with looking at more of a narrative passage to begin with. And then we're going to take a look at more of the character voice development, the work that we've done working on the monologues and just general character lines, scripts with character voices. That is going to work really beautifully, and we can keep a lot of those same kind of ideas as we work on the character lines here as well, when it's in the context of narrative scripts as well. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to look up. I know we had talked about children's books last time. Did you have one that you wanted to look at, or do you want me to give you something?
Uh, I'll take something if you have it.
Sure, absolutely. All righty. So let's try. Mm, okay. Okay, so this is just a random short paragraph from uh, from the seal and the sharky. And it's about friendship. Let's see. All right. So here's the first page. And I'll go ahead and give you another page of it too, since they're really short. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look here. This is just the narrative part. So it's just going to be you with your voice in a more storytelling mode. And basically, you're just setting up the stage for the story to unfold. So there's a shark, and he has a lot of love to give, but basically, people would be scared of him. They just run off. So you're setting up the story. So it's a young shark who really wants to make friends, but everybody sees him and gets scared and runs away. And essentially, you're just going to implement some of those good narration skills. So things like the flow. So thinking about this is one connected thought, and then I take a breath. Then here's another connected thought, and I'll take a breath. And then, so thinking about the phrase shapes and where those breaths are going to be, watching for punctuation. It looks like we just have periods throughout, but pausing at those moments. I also think that sometimes you can put pauses other places too, when you have an and or a but, those might be places that you could pause as well. Sometimes with prepositional phrases, there might be other times when you can pause. So just paying attention for that. All right, so thinking specifically about phrasing this time through.
Okay. One day there was a friendly sharky. He loved meeting people and greeting people, but he had a lot of pain. since everyone he met would run away. He just wanted to be friends, but he found himself very lonely.
Nice. Yeah, that was actually really good. Excellent. Yeah, there should be a comma there before the but there's not one. So I loved that you just put one in there anyway. Good job. Sometimes you'll do that. You'll go through scripts and go, there should be punctuation here, and there is not. So sometimes I'll go through and I'll just like put it in for myself. I'll read through it and like toss in commas and dashes and things to
I was gonna say
give
this
myself
one
a
has
little
a
clue.
lot of things wrong. I could see an English teacher being very.
Yes. It is an actual children's book that I found online, but yes, it has some punctuation issues, but that's all right. You did a very good job with what you were given. Sometimes that happens where we get a script and we go, this could be better written, and we just do the best we can. So beautiful work on the phrasing. Loved that. This time through, what I would love to hear is, can we think about what are those key, most important words to bring out? So leaning into those more. And remembering too, depending on what I stress, it can draw focus or give a different point. So maybe if I did friendly Sharky, then that could sort of emphasize one thing. Whereas if I did maybe there was a friendly Sharky, that would give a little bit of a different impression because it almost feels like maybe he is no more.
He's not friendly
Because he
anymore.
was, yeah.
There was
Um,
friendly
yeah.
Shark. Maybe it,
Or
yeah,
do
yeah.
I want to emphasize that he is a sharky, that he's scary, So thinking about what words you want to emphasize because it is going to affect the way that the listener interprets it because you basically are the one setting it up that way. It can be taken many ways. So thinking about the way that you want it to be taken and the world that you are prepping for everyone for this story to be in. Yeah. All right, let's try that.
Okay. One day there was a friendly Sharky. He loved meeting people and greeting people, but he had a lot of pain since everyone he met would run away. He just wanted to be friends, but he found himself very lonely.
Yeah, good. Excellent. I love that. Yeah. And I also like to, sometimes people will say, how do I know what to emphasize or stress? And a good rule of thumb is the nouns and the verbs, the people, places, things, and the action words. But sometimes it might be something else, like a descriptive word, or you emphasized very lonely, right? How lonely? Very lonely. So there are moments where we emphasize a different word and it gives it a little bit of a different focus. So I really liked that you switched it up a little bit and you emphasized different words at different times or different types of words at different times. So I thought that was really nicely done. All right, so then the next thing I thought we would focus on is a little bit more of the pitch variation, especially when I'm working on something like a children's book or something that's a little more dramatized. I make it a little bit more theatrical. It's meant to be very entertaining. And if you think about how you would read to a group of small children, if you were reading for story hour or something like that, it's going to be a little bit extra, right? A little extra energy. So let's try going through with a little bit more of that pitch variation. One day there was a friendly Sharky, right? He loved meeting people and greeting people, right? So it's going to be a little bit exaggerated, but it's not going to be too much in the context. Yeah. So let's try that with the ups and downs, with the pitch, highs and lows, peaks and valleys. Let's try it.
One day there was a friendly Sharky. He loved meeting people and greeting people, but he had a lot of pain since everyone he met would run away. He just wanted to be friends, but he found himself very lonely.
Nice. Very good. Yeah, I honestly didn't think that was too much for the context. That was really nice. It might be too much if you were reading, let's say, a suspense thriller or something, and it's like the slow burn build or something. But let's say you were reading it for later in the book when it's like the shocking reveal at the end and it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't expect that, right? Then you could maybe use more of that, right? But I think for a children's book, exaggerating that a little bit more works really beautifully. So the next thing I thought we would try is playing a bit more with the pacing, playing with doing maybe one phrase a little faster, one a little bit slower, even the pauses. One pause can be longer, one can be a little bit shorter. You can put a little sip of breath at one moment because it's a thought that just piggybacks onto another one. And then you can have a longer pause, maybe because something really important is coming next that I really want you to focus on and really hear, right? So thinking about the pacing and allowing it to have some variety there. So you might do something like, and I'm going to exaggerate it just for the exercise, something like, one day there was a friendly Sharky. He loved meeting people and greeting people, but he had a lot of pain since everyone he met would run away. He just wanted to be friends, but he found himself very lonely. Right? So that's like, more of an exercise where it's just fast and slow and fast and slow. But that can kind of give us insight into different things, like different takes, ways you might say it that you go, oh, I might not have thought of that. Right? And you might make some more discoveries. So just play with that pacing a little bit. Let's try it.
One day there was a friendly Sharky. He loved meeting people and greeting people, but he had a lot of pain since everyone he met would run away. He just wanted to be friends, but he found himself very lonely.
Very nice. That was great. All right. So tell me so far with the exercises we've done, what are some of the things that you liked that were coming out?
Just focusing on what I feel is the most like emphasizing certain words, um, paying attention to the punctuation. I do like the like slowing it, making it a little bit slow for some, and then kind of smushing things together for others. I don't know. I think it does kind of go. I'm trying to add more dynamics, so I think that's actually meeting that goal.
Yes,
Yeah,
awesome. Good.
yeah.
I agree. I think every single comment I gave you, I was able to hear you making those changes and bringing those elements out. So I was really pleased with that. So I thought that was really nicely done. So I would say I'm really happy with where we're at there. So let's go on and work on some dialogue. So if you click the link in the chat that I just sent through, it'll take you to the Cat in the Hat. And if we scroll a little bit, I thought we would go to it is after the red house. It's the part where the kids are looking out the window and it says, I sat there with Sally. We sat there, we two. And then it just has the one line. So it's the brother talking. So just that little paragraph there, you'll have a couple lines of narration, and then you have the and I said, and then he has the line, how I wish we had something to do. So we're going to play with just that small paragraph there so that you can play with switching between the narrator to that one line that the brother says there. That
I'm
how
so
I
sorry.
wish.
What page are we? I apologize. Which
Oh,
one?
it's okay. It's towards the beginning. So
Oh,
when
I
you
see. I
see
see.
the red house, it's right after the red house. The kids are on the right side looking out the window, and then there's like a bicycle and a tennis racket or
Yep.
down at the bottom. Um,
So
or
to say, So all we could do was sit, sit, sit. That one.
Yes, but we're going to do on the left side where
Oh,
it has the I sat there with Sally, we sat there, we two, and I said how I wish we had something to do. Because right there, you get to do some narration and then you get to switch to the character voice right after. So let's have you read through just all of it in your regular narration voice first, just that paragraph, that first paragraph on the left side, the top left corner there. And
uh-huh.
then just first off, just read it in your normal voice all the way through. Don't worry about the character voice just yet. So just good narration rules of thumb. Okay, so try just that paragraph there.
I sat there with Sally. We sat there, we two. And I said, how I wish we had something to do.
Yes, good. All right, so then thinking about this character, we know he's a little boy. We know that he's feeling down because it's raining outside and he's talking to his sister, right? So, um, what do you think he might sound like as a character? When you think about little boys, um, he's probably feeling kind of down, mopey, they're home alone and it's raining and they're, sad they can't play outside, right? So, you know, you can decide how old you think he might be. You can decide personality wise how you think he might sound. Is he more stubborn? Is he more pouty? Is he whiny? Is he very polite about it? Is he goofing off? Like, what kind of personality do you think he has? How do you think that he would sound when he's talking?
Um, I mean, I have what I wish I could do, but I don't think I could. No, it's more like yeah, this one's gonna be a hard one. But only because like I do have in my mind how I wish I could sound for that.
Ah, yes. Yeah. And sometimes our voice is different and we have to go, okay, so how can I tell this story with the instrument that I have, right? So we are going to have a few characters here. The
Mhm.
cat in the hat comes around later, so we know that we have to create the cat in the hat's character voice as well, right? So you have the little boy, you have the cat. There's also going to be a fish that talks a little bit later. So we are going to have multiple character voices. So we have to make them all sound a little bit different from each other. I don't remember if Sally has any lines or if it's just the little boy.
This was written so long ago that it probably is just a little bit.
That's a good point. I don't know if the fish talks quite a bit, it looks like. Thing one and thing two. Yeah, the fish talks quite a bit. The boy actually doesn't have a ton of lines. He does have a few, it looks like. Oh yeah, he talks more at the end when he's like, my mom's coming home any minute. Yeah, so it looks like Sally doesn't really talk. So it's going to be the cat in the hat. There's the fish who's like the words of wisdom, looking out for the kids. And then there's the little boy who's telling the story and telling what happened in their experience. So with that, then, I feel like the fish could sound like anything. The cat in the hat could sound like almost anything. I see him as kind of like the swindler, like roaming salesman, like stirring up trouble kind of guy, like with his top hat knocking on the door, like, hello, may I show you how this vacuum works? Let me throw dirt on your floor so I can vacuum it up and sell you this vacuum, right? I see him more like that myself. The fish is like, the wise old owl, or, he's the words of wisdom, the words of caution, the one who's like, guys, no, like, this isn't good, and like trying to speak up and, look out for the kids and be like, you know, don't listen to him, right? Um, He's like, send him out. You don't want to play with him. He's bad news. Um, so I feel like, the fish, you could do all kinds of things with him, but you could maybe pick like how you think that a fish, a creature that is slimy and lives in water sounds like, or I probably would go more like he's older, he's got those like words of wisdom. So I'd probably do more like a wheelin' dealin' salesman kind of vibe for the cat. And then I'd probably do more of like the words of wisdom, wise sage, passing on, I have experience in life to these young chillins, and being like, okay, kids, I'm gonna guide you because I've lived life and I know things you don't know yet. And then the boy, I think I would just make him sound like a little kid. I think it doesn't have to, especially without having multiple kids' voices you have to make.
Hmm.
So just more childlike. So generally speaking with kids, I might play with ideas like they probably have a little bit higher pitched voice. They probably don't have especially good diction just yet. They might have a little bit of a lisp or something, that makes them a little less clear. Um, and I usually will give them some kind of trait, like maybe they talk a little more punchy, or they have kind of an airy quality. Like I'll give them something interesting typically. I do think the boy is the older of the two kids. Um, I think he's a little bit more like the leader, and then it's like his little sister. So he would be the one who's like, here, hold my hand while we cross the street, like looking out for her a little bit more. Um, so that probably would play into it as well. Um, so I feel like you could play with a few different ideas. Um, so like the first line, I might do something like, oh, I wish we had something to do, where it's like he's not super young, like oh, I wish we had something to do, like he's not a baby, or like where he like, oh, I wish, he has no front teeth, because I feel like he would be, a little bit older than her. So I don't want him to be too young. Plus their mom did leave them home alone. So he's probably looking out for her. Um, but I feel like you could do a few things like, oh, I wish we had something to do, and I think as long as he sounds different than your default,
Hmm.
it's fine. Um, so what do you think, just based on what we know about the character?
At this point, I'm just, I feel like I should just try because
Yeah,
I don't even know. Like I said, in my mind, I have
absolutely.
what I wish. Like, and
Yeah.
I wish I could go for like a a young, not too young,
Yeah.
a little bit deep, a little bit raspy, but I just
Mhm.
don't have that. So I
Yeah, and I mean, it could be something like she just ran over to the neighbor's house, to borrow some sugar or something. Like she doesn't have to be far. He could be like 8 years old. So I feel like it doesn't have to be like, oh, he has to be at least like 12 because his mom left them and he's babysitting. I feel like it could be something as simple as like
once again, this
pop to
book's
the
so
neighbors.
old. He could
It's
be
so
8.
old, I know. He
I
could
was 8 at home with my with my
I
kids.
know, yeah. I'm like, I was babysitting the neighbors who had 5 kids when I was like 11. So I had CPR training and everything.
Oh wow, so you were a professional.
Yeah, it's weird to think back because nowadays, like people get upset about that stuff. And I'm like, I definitely did it myself.
Damn.
So yeah, so it is what it is.
Times changed.
I feel like because we had 4 kids. I feel like my mom was just like, here, take a baby, help me out.
Yeah,
She was just like, I can't handle everything.
we
Things are,
didn't we didn't have car seats. We didn't have
I
I didn't
know, yeah.
have
My mom
seat
talks
belts.
about that, like standing up, like in the convertible, like with just like hollering. And I was like, oh, like. Yeah, times were different.
Yeah, they just didn't care,
I
apparently.
know. They were like, yeah, they'll be fine.
Children are more precious these days.
I guess so. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, I think we're just going to play with some sounds. Actually, a lot of little boy characters are voiced by women. That's actually very common. So, let's first try just a little bit higher in pitch, maybe a little bit faster in speech. I think of kids, a lot of kids will be like, I have to tell you this thing. And like they get very excited. And they just, they have so much energy. And you're
Yeah,
like, where did you get all this energy? Can I have some, please?
and I yeah, yeah.
So let's play with a little bit higher pitched, a little bit sloppier diction, and a little bit faster. Like, and you could even give him like a, "Ugh, how I wish we had something to do." Like you can do like charactery sound effects and things too. Um, it doesn't have to, be strict with that. Like you could do like a, how I wish we had something to do. You could do like a sigh or a ugh, or whatever you want. Like if you had a kid eating Brussels sprouts and they don't like it, they could go, ugh, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that could kind of help you get into character as well if you like play with the idea of what's he doing? Is he like banging his head against the window? Is he just like sitting there with slumped shoulders, like, like what kind of attitude does he have about it? Yeah. Um, so let's try it and just see what comes out. Just that line, how I wish we had something to do.
I'm just doing
Yep,
how I
just
would.
the character. Yep.
Okay, okay. How I wish we had something to do.
I like it. I like the rounding that you did on do. So what if we played with that more? How I wish we had something to do. Play with that rounded, kind of puckered sound.
How I wish we had something to do.
Yeah, I really like that. That changed your diction and it gave him a little bit of like, mm, just a different tone quality, and also it you kind of blurred between words a little bit more. Oh, I wish we had something to do, where they kind of connected. Wish we had something to do. Like they all sort of slurred together a little bit more, which I really liked. And I feel like you can be a little more punchy on like wish, because I felt like you wanted to. Wish and something. I feel like you can hit those a little bit harder. Try that again.
How I wish we had something to do.
Yeah, that was really nice. I like that a lot. That was nice. Good. So let's try now that and I said, and then you're going to say the character. So say the and I said in your regular voice, take a breath, do the rounding, and then say the character line.
And I said, how I wish we had something to do.
Yeah, good. That was pretty good. I like it. Good. Let's back up to the I sat there with Sally. We're going to do that whole small paragraph.
I sat there with Sally. We sat there, we two, and I said, how I wish we had something to do.
Good. Can we have it just to make it a little more contrasting? I think it'd be fun to do a tiny bit of nasality, like how I wish we had something to do, where it's a little more forward. I think the brightness will contrast with your natural warm tone a little bit more, so it'll make it stand out a little bit more. Yeah, can we try that one more time?
Sure. I sat there with Sally. We sat there, we two, and I said, how I wish we had something to do.
Yeah, that stands out a little bit more. Like I immediately knew I was like, oh, that's a different character. It really stood out. That was really nice. Good. Excellent. So he talks a lot more at the end. But if you scroll down to where the cat walks in the front door, so I think that's 2 pages below. It's like the cat's walking in the front door with his umbrella, and it says, "We looked," and then he talks after that. So and he said to us, "Why do you sit there like that?" So what do we know about the cat? He just waltzes into their house wearing his funny bow tie and big hat with his umbrella. And he's just like, hello. He just walks in and owns the place. And, happy as a clam, his big smile, right? Not a care in the world. So, what kind of voice do you think he would have? Do we want him to sound a little bit like a cat with that kind of like meow kind of a like sound to him? Um, do we want him, what do you think when you think of voices for this character?
No, I feel kind of like, why? Hey guys, why do you sit
Yeah.
there like that? Oh,
Yeah, like schmoozing a little bit.
hey.
Yeah, I like it. Good. Okay. So why don't we try just that line, the why do you sit there like that with that, why do you sit there like that? Like a little of that, like, attitude to him. Yeah.
Okay. Why do you sit there like that?
Nice, good. So what you're doing there, you're lifting the palette. It's got kind of that yawn space back here. You dropped the pitch a little bit more, and you have this kind of like he's smoking a cigar kind of sound. I feel
Why
like.
do you sit there like that?
And he has like some ups and downs to it. Why do you sit there like that? Right? So I really like it. That's really creative and fun. So I want you to do the narrative line, and he said to us in your voice, but then try the character voice on the why do you sit there like that line.
And he said to us, why do you sit there like that?
Good, nice, awesome. So I think because he's a little bit like slimy-esque, I might give him like like they'll give a character like a Cockney or like a, you know,
Yeah, I love to do a little
from
British
Brooklyn
accent.
kind of
Why do
like,
you sit there like that?
why do you sit there
Why
like
do
that? Like
you sit
giving
there?
them kind of a, because that last time you made his diction like too proper, you know? Um,
Why do you
so
sit there like
yeah, like a little more like he's a low life sleazeball wheeling dealing kind of guy. Um, and let's try underneath the door that he's walking through. It has the I know it is wet and the sun is not sunny. Let's go ahead and do the rest of his lines on that page as well. So you'll have 5 lines for the cat, starting with why do you sit there like that? Um, all right, so let's try all 5 of those cat lines there.
why do you sit there like that? I know it's wet and the sun is not sunny, but we can have lots of good fun. That is funny.
Nice, good. You gave it a little of like that glottis action, like that, like he's a smoker. I like it. Yeah, that was really
I don't
fun.
know why. I don't.
No, that was great. You tried something new. I love it. I was like, oh, okay. All right, we're going a little bit of a different direction. That was awesome. Good. So can we have make what you're offering to these kids sound like, oh, it's a once in a lifetime chance, kids. Like really suck them in, yeah? Hook them, reel them in, yeah? Let's try it again.
Why do you sit there like that? I know it's wet and the sun is not sunny, but we can have lots of good fun. That's funny. That
Yeah,
is
good. That's
funny.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. And I like that he's, you're like, look, I know this, I know that, but hey, we can have fun anyway. Yeah. So good contrast there. Sometimes a little trick I'll use is when I talk about something that's like, oh, we don't like this. I'll drop and pitch a little bit and be like, yeah, this we don't like. And then I'll raise up on the part we do like, which seems really obvious, but but it works. So I want you to do more of that. Let's try those 5 lines again with the part we don't like, we're like, and the part we do like, we're like, yeah, yay.
All right. Why do you sit there like that? I know it's wet and the sun's not sunny, but we can have lots of good fun. That is funny.
Good. Yeah. And I think
So weird. Lots of good fun. That is funny. Lots of good.
I think
Lots of
I think it's all one phrase, like lots of good fun that is funny. So it's saying the fun is funny. I think is what's
lots of good
happening
fun.
here.
That is
So, but it's Dr. Seuss, so it's just silly. So just enjoy the silliness of it.
got
Um,
it. Lots of good.
so, and I think too, because it's like his first, he like pops open the door and this is the first thing he says. Why do you sit there like that? Like, I think you have to act like you've known them for years, like, I'm your uncle. I just flew in, like, you just have to walk in like you own the place and be like, hey, guys. So, like, really lean into that. Like, you're just acting like you know them, like, you're best buddies. That first line, just like engage with them even more because you don't want them being like, why is a stranger walking in our house? You don't give them time for that. You're like, we're just gonna be best buddies right from the start. Like you're not giving them the chance to tell you to get out.
Okay. Why do you sit there like that? I know it's wet and the sun is not sunny, but we can have lots of good fun. That is funny.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So, um, when you ask that question, why do you sit there like that? Like really ask them and then let it pause for a second because when you ask a question, people actually do ask it in their head, even if they're not expecting to answer. And then can we have it be a little like, I know, and the sun is not sunny. Like, stretch that a little bit more, I think.
Sure.
And then when you get to but we can have lots of good fun that is funny. Can that part speed up a little bit and also sort of like escalate and ramp up as you go through it? Like, but we can have lots of good fun that is funny, right? And it gets like, it just sort of like, vroom, like takes off. Um, just because it'll have more contrast that way and it'll keep it a little more exciting. It's that kind of exaggeration that we're using with this children's book thing. Yeah. So let's try from that. Why do you sit there like that?
Why do you sit like that? Why do you sit there like that? I know it's wet and the sun's not sunny, but we can have lots of good fun. That is funny.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, come on, kids, right? So you're trying to like, you walk in and you're just like, what's wrong with you? You're kids. You should be having fun, right? Um, and you're using, being the swindler that you are, you're using like the, hey guys, I get it. I feel for you. I understand. Like, get close with them. But then you're like, come on, let's play. Um, because obviously you want to sell them something or whatever. All right. So, let's try incorporating some of the narration lines as well now. So let's try from the we looked at the top. We looked, then we saw him step in on the mat. We looked and we saw him, the cat in the hat. All right, so you're just going to read that in your regular voice and just think of those good normal narration rules. And then you're going to try to switch into that character voice and then further it just like you would with a character monologue.
We looked. Then we saw him step on the mat. We looked and we saw him, the cat in the hat. And he said to us, why do you sit there like that? I know it's wet and the sun is not sunny, but we can have lots of good fun. That is funny.
Yes. Oh, that was great. That was really good. That was awesome. And also I know too, just like for myself and for, other people that I've worked with and coached, sometimes people will be like, "Oh gosh, like those pauses feel like they're too much or am I going too slow or whatnot." You absolutely are not. That was a perfect pacing. I also know for myself, my default is going too fast and blazing through, but that was really good pacing. We looked, pause, because you're looking, right? Then we saw him step in on the mat. We looked and we saw him, the cat in the hat. And you like give us enough time to process those things with the character. It feels very alive in the moment, not like it's planned out, not like you knew ahead what was going to happen. It feels like the character is living it with you, which is really nice. So, wonderful job embracing those pauses. They were very impactful. I thought that was very well done. And the character lines were beautiful. That was awesome. You kept it really solid. And I thought it even felt like it was a step further that time, that it was even more, polished and what we wanted. How did you feel about that take?
I didn't think it was too bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought
My
it was really
problem I
good.
think is going to be consistency, right?
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
being able to recreate. Like sometimes I'm just like, oh, that was okay. I wish I could. How can I redo that?
Yeah. Well, and then later too, because on the next page, the cat talks more. So, like you're saying, consistency too. If you have something like a children's book, they're a little shorter, so you can get through it probably in the same day. But what about a project that's maybe 10 hours long? You probably are not going to knock that out in one day. Like, I don't know that that's possible because usually it takes about, for a professional voice actor, about 3 hours to complete one finished hour of work. So if it's a 10-hour book, you need at least 30 hours to finish it, right? So you can't do that in one sitting. So how do I then split that up and say, okay, you know, I need at least probably 3 days minimum to work on that because that's going to be, like 10 hours each day. That's a long day. So, I'm probably going to be working on that, three days to a week, to get that done. And I need to maintain consistency. So, what I like to do is take notes to myself and go, okay, how do I remember what I did for this? And I'll give myself things like the speed, the pitch range. If I have anything like, oh, they have kind of a growly effect in their voice, or like the puckered thing for the little boy, or things like, oh, like there's a kind of a nasality there, or they have kind of a hooty, kind of like lifted Mary Poppins kind of quality or whatever. Like if I have things like that, I'll give myself little notes, or also character inspirations work really nicely. So I'll be like, all right, this is like the grandma in Downton Abbey. This is like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. This one's like Spock. This one's like Dory and Finding Nemo, and I'll give myself a character inspiration sometimes to tie to them. So I'll be like, okay, they're kind of a medium pacing, a higher pitch. There's a little bit of nasality and scooping on this one's voice. This other one, they talk really slowly and it drags, they slur their words, and there's a gravelly quality to their voice. This other one has a bright twang and they have a really excited, fast, hyperactive pacing. So I give myself little comments to help myself organize. But if I can assign a character inspiration, that tends to help as well to have an idea. But also, if you're establishing these character voices, you could do recordings as well. So you could do like a short recording of each character and be like, okay, this is the cat in the hat
Preference.
voice. And you can record it and then you can go back and listen and be like, okay, so that's my cat in the hat voice. And you can play with that and try to replicate that and then go back into recording more of those lines. So you can give yourself an audio to match, but then you can also give yourself like a cheat sheet of all the characters and notes on how you created those voices because it does get kind of tricky. I have a project right now that the author was listening to, and they said, it's a little inconsistent at this point. And he was like, these two characters I can't really like tell which one it is like, and he was like earlier on it was more clear, and then in this area it's kind of unclear. He was like, I feel like you can fix that and make it even better. And I was like, you're right. When I listened back, I was like, you're right, I could do better with that. Differentiating the two more. But it's tricky because the book has like 20 characters that I have to make. So I was like, All right, I'll make it better. But the cheat sheet really helps to be like, okay, so this one has more of this and this one has more of that. And so knowing the contrast, like this one talks faster, this one talks slower, this one has a higher pitched voice, this has a lower pitched voice, this has a brighter tone, this has a warmer tone. Those kind of things can be really helpful. This one has nasality, this one has a husky smoker voice. This one has a whine to them. This one has kind of a punchy kind of sound to their voice. This one has kind of a sing-songy phrasing, right? So you can play with those kind of things. You could say this one's a little more monotone, and those kind of things will help a lot. So we kind of can go, what is it that this particular character needs and what makes them unique? So, I thought that was really nicely done. I was very pleased with it. So I hope you had fun with it.
Yeah, that was fun. No, I like the children's books. I think that's a lot of
Yeah. Yeah. And I really thought it was beautiful work. So I hope that you feel like you learned something
I
new
do.
and that you made progress. I definitely felt like it. I'm gonna check what my puppy's doing back there. I heard him doing something.
So maybe.
I was like, what are those sounds? But that's all right. He's a puppy. So he's only 3 months and a week. So
Oh my
he's
gosh,
a
so
little baby.
tiny.
So,
Oh
but
my,
he gets bigger every day.
are you gonna pick them up so I can see?
Oh, sure.
Uh,
Oji, come
in
here,
my lap,
baby.
baby.
Come here. What you doing? Come here.
Are you gonna be one of those moms that puts a smiley face over their dog's face?
Oh, come here, baby. What are you doing? Oh. He is engrossed in the wheel on the chair. Here he is.
Oh my.
Oh,
Oh,
Daisy.
that's my husband's favorite kind of dog. Wow,
Oh,
dog dog.
yeah. He's like a polar bear, but he's a dog.
Oh my gosh, so beautiful.
Yeah, he's a big white floof.
And what's his name?
His name is Toji.
Toji. And
Yeah,
he's 3 months? You are in trouble.
I
Wow.
know. He's gonna be like 60, 65 pounds. He's
Wow.
over 20 already. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, I
Wow.
have two little ones, Daisy and Scotty. They're like 6.5, 7 years. They are itty bitty, so Toji's gonna be huge compared to them. But Daisy is a Maltese mix, so she's like 6.5 pounds, and then Scotty's like 8.5 pounds. He's like a toy poodle. So there was an older couple that was like, we really need to rehome them. So then I had adopted them, and my husband, it was his dream to get Toji. So we just got him. I was like, okay, I'm gonna be the fun parent, and you're gonna be the one training him. So he likes to play with me, but every now and then I have to get on him because he'll like want to play with Daisy, and she's like, "You're so big, and I'm scared." And she's like a little old lady, like she's just like, "I just want to lay here in this sunny spot and nap all day, you know." And then he's like, "Come play," and she's like, "Mom."
At three
So
months old, that's like already like triple your others.
yeah, exactly. I know. I'm
Oh
like,
my,
he's bigger than both of them combined.
that's
So,
crazy.
but yeah, my husband already took him to meet some trainers, and he's gonna go to like he was like he's going to camp soon, so I guess he like stays overnight and like they
Okay.
train him. It's like summer camp for dogs. So he was like,
At this age? Wow.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly when he's starting, but my husband's gonna go like also and like do training with him, and he's gonna have him off leash trained where he just like knows to walk right by you and like, all
Yeah.
those things. So yeah, so I was like, I think that makes me kind of nervous. I was like, if I walk him, he's gonna be on a leash because if he got hit by a car or something, I know my husband would be devastated. So I'm like, I don't trust myself that much. He'll be on a leash with me. But but yeah, so he's definitely planning. He likes doing all that training stuff too, though. Like with my two little ones, like he the whole time we were dating, he'd like teach them things, and so he just really likes doing all of that. So I'm like, great, good for you.
Sounds like you're gonna have a well-behaved dog, if nothing else.
Eventually. He's definitely a puppy right now. He's in this phase where he just wants to like taste everything too. So like he ate one of my plants, like he just tore it all up, and I was like, the African violet is no more. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just like any other baby. They're
Yeah.
learning about themselves before they put
Right.
everything in their mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, human babies do that too, where they like start putting things in their mouth and you're like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's in that phase right now. So I'm like, well, no more plants on the bottom shelf because Toji will eat them. So he
That's
really
like,
likes leaves. So he's loving the fall. We go on walks and he's like, leaf, and he like pounces on it. And I was like raking leaves in the yard and he just was like, leaf pile, and ran and like rolled. And then I brought him in and my husband was like, whoa, he needs a bath.
with that fluffy white coat,
Mhm.
he'll see every little thing.
Yep. So he's having a gay old time, you know. He's loving his little life, but his new siblings, Scotty will play with him a little bit, my poodle. But my girl dog, she's kind of like a cat in a dog body, so she's just very like, Mom, save me from this puppy. Because he loves her tail because it's fluffy and her ears, and he tries to like play with them, and she's just like, Mom, help.
Um,
And I'm like, Daisy is not a toy. I know she looks like one. So yeah, we're
He'll learn. He'll
working on it.
learn.
He will. He will learn. He already knows how to sit and do the paw and other paw. And my husband was working on lie down today. I told him to sit and he laid down. And I was like, "Oh, that's new." And he was like, "Oh yeah, we were working on that." So I was like, and now he thinks that's all we want him to do. So it's funny. He'll like I'll like I don't remember what it was. I said paw. No, I was telling him something and he like thought it was one thing when it was another. Like, I don't know. Like, I think I told him to like go potty on the lawn because he like went outside and just like peed on the concrete. And I was like, no, go in the lawn. And then he like pawed at me. And I was like, oh, you thought I was saying paw.
Oh,
So he
lawn
just
and paw. That's
try.
close. That's
He's like
close.
trying to please, but he doesn't know how yet. And that's okay. With me, I think he can just tell by my tone. He's like, oh, mom's not happy. Or he's like, oh, mom's happy. My husband's very like he does sign language with him and stuff. And then I'm just like, no. And he's just like, oh, mom's unhappy. Or I'm like, come you
About
baby.
right.
And he's like, oh, mama's happy now. We can play. So
Pets are just like children, so
yeah. Yeah.
familiar.
Yeah. Well, I said to my husband, I was like, this will be good practice because, you know, when we do have babies, we'll
Yeah.
already have gotten through the puppy phase. So I was like, we'll be
That's
better
the
equipped.
cop, bad cop. So it'll
Yeah,
be good.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because my husband will like hear me sometimes. He's like, oh, he's like, he'll be like on a call and be like, I'll be right back. And he'll come down and be like, you sound exasperated. Let me help. And he'll like get Toji to calm down. He's like, all right, I have to get back to the call now. And I'm like, great. So, but most of the time we're good. But then sometimes I'm just like, go to your dad.
Yep,
Like, I'm done.
I feel that.
Yeah, I told my husband already. I was like, okay, for babies, if I have to grow them in my body and feed them out of my body, you get to change all the diapers.
Oh, that's exactly what we did. It works perfectly.
That's what I said. I was like, it only seems fair. And he was like, he thought it was like only while I was breastfeeding. And I was like, no, every diaper, every single one. And he was like, oh, okay. I was like, and I mean it. Every time I say change this baby's diaper, you're gonna do it.
It actually wasn't too bad. I think like my husband didn't mind at all. So I bet you he'll just grow and just like,
Yeah.
oh, this is what
I think
mothers
he'll
do.
be a great parent. I
Basically.
joke, I mean, I mean it, but I'm like constantly like, you're gonna be a better parent than me. And so many people are just like, you're gonna be a great mom. I'm
Oh
like,
my gosh.
I'll be
Yeah.
an okay mom.
You gotta have a little contrast, just
Yeah.
like in a in a
Well,
narration.
I'll keep them alive and fed and, you know, take them to the dentist and all that good stuff. But I'm like, my
And
husband,
you're
the
gonna
one
read
who's
them
very,
stories, and you're gonna
I
have the
will.
best
That's true.
stories.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will. I'll be like, we'll do fun things together. I'll make sure they, you know, do
Yeah.
creative stuff and know how to audition for the school play and things. But yeah, Yeah, I'm like, my husband will be the patient one who's like teaching them things all the time that are actually practical and who's like, okay, mom's tired now. So here, let's like talk about this reasonably because I'll just be like, I'm done at some point. And he'll
Very
be the one who's
natural.
very reasonable and patient because he like never gets angry ever either. And I'm so
Wow.
much more expressive and he's just like steady like a river. And I'm like, we're gonna need that sometimes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It sounds like you guys are going to be a good team.
I think so. I think we'll be a good team. It sounds like you and your husband figured out a good system too. It sounds like you guys are a good team too. That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, I think you have to have certain things in common, but then you kind of also need to have some differences that you have different strengths, and then it works better. Like we definitely have different strengths.
And
So
you'll see your little one will want to come to you because you're the mom. You're the nerd. You'll be the one to hug, you know.
the one who's like, "Oh, you scraped your knee. Let me kiss it and make it better. Let's
Exactly.
get a Band-Aid." Yeah. I'll be good at that. Yeah, but like the disciplinary things and things, I'm gonna be like, go to your dad.
Just wait till your dad gets home. Yep.
I'm gonna be like, okay, you're folding laundry.
You'll
Not
see.
when they're
Like
a baby. I don't know. We'll see. I
they're
I
big.
use I babysat a lot though, and I did okay with that. So, and even like my little cousins and stuff, they like still joke around about me babysitting. They're like, man, we did like all our chores in one afternoon with you and with mom. It'd take us all week. Like,
Yeah. Get them in
yeah.
line.
I'd be like, I will take you to the store to look at Legos if you finish your chores first.
Mhm.
One time we burned the cookies because they were not behaving and I got distracted and I was like, no cookies now. They're gone. They're burnt up. They learned. I used to make them, I'd be like, too much energy, you're being crazy. I'd be like, okay, 10 jumping jacks, go. So I'd like tire him out and then I'd be like, okay, focus, math time.
This is the tactic that I still use to this day. I'm like, run to the.
Oh,
Oh, you scared me to death. Oh my gosh. My son was standing there, and I was
oh,
like when like I was like, run to the.
you're like, oh, hello. He surprised you.
Are you coming?
Oh,
I know. I'm coming for hugs. I love you.
oh, that's sweet. He's like, Mama, you gotta give me kisses and hugs for
You're like
bedtime.
you're ruining. I'm ruining the bedtime. So I
Oh,
do have to go.
yeah,
We
you
can
can you
have
can
a
use your new
routine.
skills for story time, for tucking in time.
True.
Well, have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you soon.
See you
Bye,
next week.
Shamara.
Bye.